America. I want to, on behalf of all of us here at the museum, I want to welcome you here. Here our mission is to preserve, illuminate, and celebrate the rich history and contributions of Chinese living in the United States. So our history starts when Chinese first get here, their journeys here, and then all the societal factors that played a role in our lives here. This event tonight came about because USA Fencing's illustrious leader, Phil Andrews, reached out to me in a cold email and said, did you know that USA Fencing sends more Asian American athletes to the Olympics than any other sport? And I never heard that stat before. I never knew that. And after talking with everybody at USA Fencing, that percentage just keeps going up and up and up. Phil, I think, told me 33% when we first talked. Someone today told me 60%. Other people are saying, 70% of all, USA Fencing athletes are Asian American. I don't know what the real number is. But I know there's a story there. And I know that there's something that, I follow the Asian American community pretty closely. And if I didn't know this story, then I have a good assumption that a lot of Asian Americans in the country don't know this story yet. And I think it's something that maybe we should be more aware of. And as we march towards the 2028 Olympics, we are, this is maybe something that we can follow along with as we get there. One of the key storytellers here at the museum is our good friend Richard Louis. He is, you may see him on MSN now. He is the longest tenured, the longest running Asian American male anchor nationally on television. He was also the MOCA Legacy Award winner last year at our last year's gala. And so when I thought there was a huge story here, the first person I called up was Richard, and I was like, you have to help us tell this story tonight. And so there's so many people that I need to introduce and so many people to thank, but I'm not a great MC. I know Richard's a great MC, so I am going to introduce Richard, who will kick off this panel for us tonight. Thank you so much for coming.
First of all, Michael, thank you so much. And just as you promised, it will be that good. You're about to meet some really special people. I had a chance to speak with them for a little bit. And just what they've accomplished in the United States, and given their backgrounds, I find to be pretty awesome. And what a great place to do it at here at MOCA with all of you. So I'm excited to dig in during Heritage Month here. And how about I just have them come on up, all three of you, if you can. Give a big round of applause. First we have Alexander Massialas. He's a Chinese-American Olympian, individual silver medalist, and team bronze medalist and head coach at Stanford University. He's been, please, Andy, and he has been to 4 Olympics, 3-time medal winner. But his family story, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is quite an institutional journey as well when we talk about fencing. And it was formed by the M team, or the Massialas Foundation in San Francisco, which helped produce Alex, very well done, as well as many others. Next to him is Maia Chamberlain. Maia is a Chinese-Malaysian American Olympian and professional athlete with who also competed for Team USA at the 2024 Paris Olympics, a Princeton grad and one of the leading U.S. women's saber fencers. She's earned multiple medals at the FIE level. Her story connects not only elite competition, the scholar-athlete path, as well as the new generation of AAPI fencers. She is also, ladies and gentlemen, number 6 in the world right now. And as my kind friend here directly to my left, Andy, said, she's also number 1 in the country. And Alex is too, by the way.
Maia's number 1.
Yes.
Current number 1.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Andy is also number 1. He is the number 1 head coach in the United States. He is at the University of Pennsylvania, has led the program since 2009. He's got a great story. Born in Beijing, he became a U.S. citizen in 1989. He earned a bachelor's degree in fencing from Beijing Sports University, quite esteemed, and earned a master's degree in sports psychology from Ohio State University. Another bad choice, that's okay, go blue. But before Penn, he owned and operated the Fencing Academy of South Jersey from 1994 to 2016. He produced 9 U.S. national team members and more than 200 medalists across national events and world circuits. So he is number 1, isn't he not? Big round of applause for all 3 of them. I myself am not a fencer. I have trouble even dribbling a basketball. So I feel very humbled sitting in front of these Olympians today. And today we're not only going to talk about their excellence and their achievements and the way that they've decided to pursue their lives, which I'm very interested in personally. It will also involve their journeys over time, where they came from, their parents, their grandparents, what that means for them in the past as well as the future. I wanted, though, to get a sense of how you describe yourselves, each of you, before we move on to this. So, you know, Alex, when people say, "Who are you?" What do you say? That's it?
Yeah, exactly. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming. It's an honor to be here in MOCA to share my story. But when I think about who I am, I really think of myself as a product of my environment and my family. And one thing that I really wear on my sleeve is my heritage, both on my dad's side, which is Greek and English, but really, especially on my mom's side, who she immigrated from Taiwan for graduate school, and I actually just got back from Taiwan on Monday visiting family, so it renewed this sense of, you know, filial piety almost, and a love for, you know, my heritage and my culture.
Awesome. How about you, Maia? How do you describe? Who are you? Is it on there? Yeah.
Who am I? The shortest answer, I'll just say I'm a professional fencer and I coach. But I also grew up in the Bay Area, and my parents came from Australia. My mom's Chinese Malaysian, so grew up in Malaysia. My parents met in Australia and university, and then for work moved to California eventually. And yep, I agree that I'm a product of my environment, of my parenting, and without their support, I wouldn't be here today.
Well, thanks so far to both of your families. Andy, tell me about who are you?
Yeah, actually, I was a professional athlete. Now I'm a full-time coach. So I grew up from a sports family. Both my parents is a professional track and field athlete, also the professor at the Beijing Sports University. My younger sister do the high jump, so all family involved in sports. So I remember when I was young, I played all different sports. So my first sport is swimming. So I was on the Beijing professional team for the swim. At that time, they trained so hard. Everyone, 90% athlete have a heart issue. So then my dad said, so.
For a different reason, actually.
So we swim 5,000 to 15,000 a day. So that's too much. That time they don't test you urine, don't test you blood, just swim. So I have a little heart problem. I decided to try the different sport. I like basketball very much, but my height will be
Better than mine.
will be Steph Curry's size. So
Yeah.
they say you're too little for the center, only allowed to play the guard,
Yeah.
but too late to play the guard. So then my father's best friend is a fencing coach. Also, you come to fencing. That's why I started
You were too short at 6'2"
for the basketball.
for basketball, but you could have been a point guard.
But too late, point guard, too late to train.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, there's always next week. We have that in front of us. By the way, we will have a demonstration. They did bring their weapons. Where are the weapons, by the way?
In the
In the closet over there.
In the closet over there. Okay, so we will get we'll get to see a little bit of a demonstration, which I'm excited about. And for all of you in the front row, good luck. You'll be fine. We have plenty of bandages in back, right, Michael? Old fencing jokes. How did you pick fencing, Maia? I mean, it's such we heard the amazing statistics, and I'm so glad the CEO brought this to our attention. I didn't know. I did see a lot of faces like ours, but how did you pick it?
Yeah, I didn't know either. What a wonderful
Yeah. What are all these people doing here? That look like me.
Our people, other people. So I grew up playing lots of sports. I don't have family in the sport, so I was just doing things like bicycling, tennis, ballet, piano, like pretty standard Bay Area Asian.
Typical 10 things at once.
Yeah. And then there was one summer, my mom found an ad for a fencing camp that happened to be close by, and I was like, I like Star Wars, I like Pirates of the Caribbean, I want to do that.
What year was this?
This is,
How old were you roughly?
I was 9, so
9.
This is around 2007, 2008, around the time of the Beijing Olympics. So I didn't get into fencing quite yet, but it was a wonderful, wonderful one to watch, like the opening ceremony and things like that.
So is it one of those things attached to a phone pole or a light pole, and it just pulled a number and your mom called?
Oh,
Fencing.
Oh yeah, no, she saw like a poster.
A poster.
Or no, and then the newspaper.
In the newspaper.
Yeah, she's here. She can actually remember.
Are you mom?
Yeah, that's mom.
How did you find it?
In the Bay Area, there are a lot
Yeah.
of community. In the Bay Area, there's a lot of community kind of like magazines for local cities. So that's why I was able to sign her up for everything from rock climbing to skiing to everything, because you just want your kid to try everything, right?
Yeah.
And then after the first week, the club owner called me and said, you want to consider her continuing. I said, why did you make that decision, that judgment call? And he says, well, she's the only girl left. She beat up all the boys and all the girls are gone. So after the first week, she was the only one left, and so maybe she might have some, talent. And 9 months later, that happened to be Summer Nationals in San Jose nearby, so we didn't have to travel so far. And the coach dangled to say that anybody who gets on the podium will give you an
iPod Nano.
An iPod Nano.
Yeah.
and then she wanted to win, and that's how it happened, and that's how she continued after winning that after 9 months.
One word answer, was she any good when she first started at 9?
We didn't know. I think,
You say yes or no?
yeah. No, maybe.
Did she get the iPod Nano?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maia.
Have it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, somewhere.
Maya's like, did you have to talk to my mom? Yeah.
Honestly, she said it better than I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So 9 was the time, and
Yeah.
did you know that you loved it at 9? Or when did you know that you loved it?
It was fun to hit people with sticks, but I continued to enjoy other sports. I think having those small goals that build up help with continuing.
Yeah.
So I kept swimming, I kept other sports like skiing or rock climbing. But when there was a goal, and then I spent more time focusing on the fencing. So training for that Y10 Summer Nationals, or saying, oh, it might be possible to make a cadet world team, which is like around when you're like 15, 16 years old. And then, yeah, that slowly builds up. Oh, I could get recruited to college. I'll definitely try to focus more on the fencing, those things.
Andy, I was mentioning earlier the number of successful fencers that you have trained over the years. There's also your personal journey in finding fencing. I'm interested in why fencing, both for yourself, and when you have been training different professional athletes that have now succeeded, when do you realize that they actually love it? Because you know, right? You know when they're like, oh, I'm not sure, and you know when they're back on.
Yeah, actually,
Oh, microphone.
yeah, back to 70s, 80s. So China that time, the Cultural Revolution. So 76, So during the cultural routine, they shut down all the professional,
Yeah.
team. So 76 start to fencing start, I believe. So that time, fencing is not really popular in China. And I really to, the women
Yeah.
volleyball,
Right.
so very popular that time. So I try, my first sport is swim since I'm 5 years old. I think I'm just 6 years old, I crossed the river, I'm the youngest one with adult to come back, so that time. So I always look at movie Zorro, so until my heart have a living issue, then I tried basketball, then I'm not sure what should I, but I definitely want to choose the sports, because I go to the Tsinghua, the high school of attached Tsinghua University. So every one of my classmates went to the either Tsinghua, Beida, or the college. So I'm the only one. I like sports. I want to do the sports down there. So, but one of my father's best friend, I believe, same age as Mr. Chen. I don't know, he used to own the Blue Gauntlet with Amanda. So my coach, same age, only 2 international referees, 2 famous coaches. He said, you come to me. So then I start.
And how old were you then?
14 years.
14.
So that time 14 is pretty young, but right now everyone start 8 or 9, even
Yes,
7.
especially if you're a member of the PTA.
Yes.
Yeah. Alex, I was just thinking, he was saying Zorro, for me it's the Princess Bride, which also shows a skill I might have in fencing. But no Princess Bride fans, I guess, here. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, inconceivable is the right way to say it, right? Your family's commitment to this very sport is part of your own journey. Was that first, seeing what your family was doing? Or was it you finding fencing alone first? You see what I'm saying? Like, what was more dominant?
So I grew up in a household where my dad was already a 3-time Olympian in the sport, and so I grew up seeing his old Olympic rings, his old prizes, his old Ivy League championships, stuff like that, and it was something I was so proud of. My dad, I had the coolest dad, and not only that, he played the coolest sport, and for me, one other part, again, back to my heritage, but this side on my Greek side, not only did he get to attend the Olympics 3 times as an athlete, but the Olympics originated in Greece, and so that's such a big part of our culture, and he told me so much about the history of the Olympics and the spirit of the Olympics, this sense of camaraderie, this sense of brotherhood, this sense of respect amongst everyone, regardless of where you're from, and I fell in love with that aspect of sport. And so I think I actually told my dad I wanted to be an Olympian before I wanted to be a fencer. But then really just watching and seeing everything that he had, holding his old blades when I was back at home, seeing his old photos, I kind of just had this natural interest in the sport. And so he started his own fencing program when I was about 5 years old, and I immediately wanted to start. But my dad had a pretty strict rule where he only starts kids once they're 7 years old. And especially since I was his kid, he's not going to make any exceptions. And if I was going to be a student, I'm going to have to follow the rules just like everyone else. If anything, he'd have to be stricter with me. And so I had to wait until I was 7, so 2 more years for me to start fencing. And I just remember during those 2 years being at the fencing club, some days watching the sport that I loved and I really wanted to start. So being really ecstatic, and then other days pouting in the corner because my dad wouldn't let me start and wouldn't let me participate in the footwork or anything. But once I hit my 7th birthday, he let me join my first class and immediately fell in love with the sport, even though I started left-handed and fenced really poorly. But I loved the journey, and then the rest is history.
You started left-handed, and now what are you?
Right-handed. So within 1 year, they realized I was probably not a left-handed fencer. My dad was a left-handed fencer. When I played soccer, I kicked with my left foot, so they all thought I was left-handed. But the second I started doing footwork, they realized I probably was not left-handed for fencing.
Huh. It's very, exactly, there you go. We're going to play that later tonight. If you come back at 10 o'clock, there'll be a Princess Bride screening. You know, Andy, I was thinking about the two of them, and you also talked about young Andy. And I want to go back to that question to you, is when you're with all of the students that you have, how many have been of Asian descent? We've had this discussion here that many are of Chinese descent, but overall, what's that dynamic, and have you ever wondered why there were so many?
I know Michael King kept telling me the 63% U.S. members is Asian.
Ice cream cone.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I don't know that exactly. If you have an exact number.
46.
How many?
46%.
46, so that's an accurate number. So
Asians like to
yes.
stab people, or what is it?
Yeah, I think Asian people will they very quick, reaction quick, and agility good. So like ping pong, badminton, they're good at these sports. Fencing, I think, is good for the Asian people. Of course, good for all people, but could be because if you say Asian people play football or basketball, the physical condition not there. Yeah, so Asians, the reaction, agility, and they like logical thinking. I think that if you look at the world, Korea is first class, right? Japanese saber weapon first class. China saber weapon pretty good. And Hong Kong, men's foil very strong, and women's epi very strong. So of course, quite few from Singapore. I see Asian people is good at defense.
And they seem to, at least by...
You agree with me that?
I didn't think about it that way, but it's a very transferable skill. Like if like the fencing has lots of lunging motions, and that's similar to what you see in ping pong and badminton.
Yeah, I think one thing about fencing is such a cerebral sport as well, and so I think it really meshes with a lot of the Asian mentality, right? We were always taught to like think critically and stuff like that. So being a fencer forces you to do that. It's a sport where it doesn't just rely on pure athleticism. You have to outthink your opponent, and I think that's one facet that a lot of Asian American families find compelling.
Also, the injury rate's very low.
Well, you
It's a
think
safe
of,
sport.
and martial arts, if you think about the movements from martial arts, are there any similarities there as well that you've seen in your practices?
I mean, I did, from my knowledge, Bruce Lee based off some of his own teaching off of fencing and the footwork and the blocking. So there are certainly similarities, and I think all martial arts kind of draw upon a lot of similar bases, whether it's footwork, whether it's blocking techniques. They just do it with their hands and legs, and we do it with a sword.
Before I found fencing, I did do a martial art, and I remember some kid when I was 7 punched me, and I like blocked that. And that felt very powerful. And for fencing, I love the sword fights in the Star Wars, and there's so many back and forth blade work, lots of parries. So those are basically just blocks. So just doing that motion is so satisfying. And yeah, it takes strategy to kind of force people into your traps, or just needing that quick reaction time to block someone's block on the fly. You know what that? Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Block on the fly, yeah. You'll show me later, right?
Yes.
The martial arts defense is all involved offense, defense,
Mhm.
the logical, like strategy, Maya mentioned. So not exact same, but the logical pretty similar.
Yeah, I was a martial arts kid when I was younger, and I was just thinking of some of the movements, but I'm not a fencer, so I was just thinking about that. And by the way, please feel free, you have to wait for my questions, you can just talk as we go along. I wanted to touch one more time on your backgrounds and your family, and some of you have already touched on it. And so Maia, for you, when you are discussing what you spend a lot of 25 hours a day, I imagine, thinking about and also doing, how do you describe that to your family, and how's your family, other than your mother, which we've already heard from, how's that been part of the way you've approached fencing and how you see the sport today?
Well, I'd like to be just grateful again for my parents supporting me. It's a very different path than what we were, or I mean, I don't know what to expect or what my parents were expecting growing up, but Olympic athlete was probably not not in the cards. So like I'm just so grateful that I found this passion in the sport, and I wanted to take it to a certain level. And I think there was slight back and forth, but in the end, my parents really appreciated the journey that I had, and they saw the potential that my coaches saw and that I had for myself, and were just full set the fencing career.
You know, you had a fencing dad and a fencing mom.
My dad tries to tell me, he did judo growing up, so he tries to tell me how to block with my entire body, which is not what my coach tells me to do.
Andy, any thoughts?
Yeah, my wife used to be the professional opera singer. So for the artist or the actress, so she always tells me, so when she do the professional, I cook, I take care of the kitchen stuff, because if she work, she will lose the instinct. Yeah, the same thing. When I coach, I remember I run 3 clubs. I coach Penn from 2009 to 13. So 4 places. So she take care of the backyard job. So I take care of the something. Otherwise, you lost the instinct.
Yeah.
Just, so that's from my point of view.
This is a good marriage counseling as well.
Oh, another point. I guess my mom had a very unique journey to the States. So yeah, she was the only one out of the family who left the country from her generation to go to school in Australia.
Malaysia.
Yeah, from Malaysia. So, the only one just with nobody, no friends, no family, just went to university in Australia. And then kind of found her way there, got the opportunity from her British company to start a branch in the US. But that's a pretty unique journey, and she kind of did it on her own. So the fact that this is a relatively unique and journey, I think she could relate and empathize with that a little bit. And even though it is scary, or there's lots of doubts, if you just have enough belief or determination, eventually it will work out.
Talking about moms, I'm pro-mom as well. Yeah. Hey, Alex, so M-team can mean a lot of things. It can mean Massialas, but also can mean mom. Tell me about your mom's leadership with the M-team.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I always try and do is heap as much praise on my mom as possible, because she would never be her own advocate, but nothing that my dad or anything I've accomplished would not have been possible without her. And a big part of it comes from her. My dad might be the fencing tactical side of being a coach, but my mom is really the emotional and the emotional rock of our family in a lot of ways. And a lot of it has to do with history and culture. A lot of Chinese culture is based off of balance, whether it's yin yang or anything like that. And for me, anytime I had a tough time in competition or practice, obviously my dad was there to give me tactical advice, though he's notorious for being a little strict with his fencers. My mom was always there to be the one to help me regulate my emotions and help me really understand how to go about this as a human being. And part of it is drawn through the culture itself. And so I wear a bracelet on my arm that was given to me by my mom that says on one side, 健康, which means health, and the other side says 平安, which means peace. And I use that to help regulate my emotions when I'm competing, because when tensions get high and things aren't going your way, it's very easy to get in your own head and that's when you start making bad decisions. But if you can keep your peace, whether it's on a fencing strip, in the workplace, or in any part of your life, whether it's relationships or anything else, making decisions based off of peace and balance is usually, in my experience, the best way to go about it.
Do you tell your students that right now? Do they go, what do you say? At Stanford? Well, they probably would say that.
Yeah, I do try and teach my students to really regulate their emotions, because that's when I think I made my biggest leap in fencing, was when I learned how to do that. I learned a lot of tactical stuff pretty early on and the skill stuff pretty early on, but really when you get to learn how to truly regulate your emotions and use that to help you critically think and work logically through difficult decisions, that's when you can really differentiate yourself from the pack.
Yeah, and, Andy, you were mentioning the Cultural Revolution, and your parents, I can only imagine the difficulty and the pain that they lived through, and trying to support you as their great son to go through this mission of fencing and sports. What is one of the stories that you remember that was influential in you getting through? Because they came from a very difficult time, the aftermath of a very difficult time.
I believe that time the coaches make decision. I remember when I was a swimmer, I think the whole team, the government support everyone, but that's a half professional, they call it after school program. So they only choose one person, they support you full income. So I think that time I'm the hardest working person, I don't have the best result, but they choose me. I feel very honored. I don't know why, like this, you choose me. I know a lot of people better than me, down there. So I'm very lucky, so down there, yeah. So like I said, then I get into the sports university, then they choose me to remain. Usually they choose the best athlete to stay there, so continue to work and teach there. So I just feel very lucky. I also came to US. I don't speak English, so I have to learn English, then start a business. I never done the business. I grew up at the university. I never.
Yeah.
So parents helped me to get lessons, find a facility. So I'm very lucky. So I feel I'm one of the lucky person in the world. So, yes. So.
Did they ever? Do you remember the most encouraging sentence that from your parents that keeps you going sometimes?
Yeah, I'm sneaky, so a lot of
You said tall but sneaky?
Yeah. I know the bullying happened to everyone, right? Down there. I remember the good people try to, aggressive, come to me. I don't know what to do, because I'm very shy, very, down there. Then my dad told me, if they hit you, you hit back. So from then I said the most aggressive group come to me, I hit back. Then I become #1 fighter. Everyone freedom me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Then we become the best friends. I don't know why. Yeah. So become my dad told me, if they hit you, just hit back.
So nobody punched him today.
Yeah. From that time, yeah.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Maia, what is the most rewarding about fencing that us non-fencers don't know about when we look in?
Okay, this is the first thing that came to mind. When people see fencing for the first time, they're kind of shocked by how much yelling there is. So that happens in all sports, right? If you win a game, then everyone screams together, they're all happy. But for fencers, you do that every single touch that you think is yours. And so I think just growing up in society, we don't have a lot of outlets to actually release our emotions in that way. So just being able to score your point and express yourself fully is such a unique experience. And I don't know how my friends and family keep it together sometimes. You said your mom is
So most rewarding is the exultation, is the celebration as a team, the emotion as a team.
Yes,
is that right?
It's lovely to see that all the work that you've put in, culminates into this one small moment that worked out. And so that's the satisfaction that you can live with your team, with your coach, with your friends, with your family.
And since we're in that space, I was just imagining some of your fencing and your competitions. Is there, describe the experience as being a woman and a fencer, what that's been like for you.
As my mom mom said, there weren't a lot of girls fencing where I grew up. I think outside of SF, I guess I was more in the South Bay area, there was less saber clubs available.
What they call it, saber clubs?
Oh yeah, so there are 3 different types of weapons.
And you'll see them tonight.
Yeah, well, you'll see 2 out of the
2
3.
out of 3. Yeah.
Yeah, there's foil, saber, and epee. I think saber is the most like Star Wars, which is why I chose that one.
Alex doesn't agree.
It is more like Star Wars. I can attest to that.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was the kind. I wanted to be like the closest thing to a Jedi. That's legal.
Pretty doggone close.
Yeah. We actually had a event, World Fencing League, that came out where they're putting tracking devices on the tip of the blade to make the sport easier to watch. So like there's a red side and a green side. I
Yep.
think Alex might have been the prototype. When they were advertising this new tech, they were always using his videos.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Ah.
a small community. Yeah. Sorry, what was I?
Oh, I was merely just going through the conversation. What was it like to be a woman in fencing?
Oh,
Or you don't even think about that. I'm just a fencer.
Yeah, definitely
Saber.
thought about it. I think this also ties into being a minority in sports. Sometimes you don't have people to necessarily look up to in your club. So like I don't think there are like any older Asian or mixed race fencers that I looked up to growing up. But what helped a lot was look at, well now we have plenty, so many strong Asian athletes are in the States. But what I did was I looked at the qualities that I admired in people in my club or in national competitions or people that I watched in video. So like, how did they handle a loss? How did they analyze their wins? When people that I respect go about their practice, I kind of wanted to emulate those positive traits. And sometimes just focusing on being the minority or like the only girl in the room, I didn't find that super helpful for helping my fencing. So if there was a stronger fencer in the gym, I would just want to fence them so I could better myself.
You know, as you're looking at your students, going back to your students, Alex, on this, and as well as your experience in competition, what's that gender balance been? What has that mix been like? Who was in the room typically when you started? Who's in the room today? To go back to, you know, what your dad's doing, how has that complexion changed over the years? Give us a sense of that.
Yeah, when I started fencing at my dad's club, it was predominantly men who were fencing. We had a few women here and there. They're very strong, so I always admired all the women in our fencing club. But looking at it today, we actually have more girls than we have boys at the fencing club, which is a really nice change of pace, actually. It's really
60-40, what is it?
There are some age groups where it's like 80-20 for the women to men, which is awesome. I actually really love seeing that because when I was around and when I was growing up, it was really the opposite. It was like 90-10 men to women. But now being the leader of Stanford fencing, I went into a program that's about 50-50 or if anything like 60-40, but it changes year to year. And one thing that I've had to learn is just, you know, each event and each sport, I think you can treat everyone the same, but each event has their own nuances. So you can't just cookie cutter tell everyone this is the answer, whether it's men's fencing or women's fencing. You can go about the same mindset and the thought processes the same way, but in the practical application, it looks a lot different. But kind of going back to what you said about where we find joy in the sport, one thing I do tell my students, and something I live by myself as someone who's experienced both the highs and lows of fencing, is that you have to find joy in the process and in the journey, because if you are so results oriented, you're gonna put your self-worth, your self-confidence in something that's inexplicably out of your control, right? there's so many things that can go wrong on game day, whether it's a referee, whether you got sick the night before, whether you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you just couldn't perform that day. And I've been on the upside of fencing amazing, winning a silver medal at the Olympics, but I've also been on the heartbreaking side of finishing 4th twice at the Olympics as well in the team event. And those moments of heartbreak, you know, a lot of people can see those as failure. And you know, in that moment when I first lost in those moments, it felt like failure as well, right? It felt like everything I'd worked for, I was right there, I fenced well, but we couldn't put together, you know, why did this have to happen to me? Like, why do I not deserve this, right? But with reflection after, you know, a few hours or a few days, you come to remember, as long as you remember where you find the joy. And I found the joy, obviously when you win, it's very joyful. Those highs are hard to beat. But I don't look at these, you know, 4th place heartbreaking finishes as abject failures. I see them as just moments of a career that are born of so many small moments that bring me joy. Whether that is getting to know my teammates and getting to travel the world with people I find to be my closest friends, whether it's constantly learning and honing a craft over a course of years, that constant, you know, pursuit of excellence is what we say at Stanford, and what my dad actually said previously to Stanford. Trying to better yourself every single day. That's where I find my joy, and interacting with my teammates and now my students. You know, part of the reason why I love coaching is like I get to really truly interact with my students on a very personal basis, not just a technical, not just with the fencing, but like get to know them as people, trying to help them through their personal problems as well as their fencing problems. Because ultimately, one day we're gonna have to hang up our shoes and we're gonna have to put our fencing equipment in the closet, right? But the lessons we take from the sport, regardless of the medals, that's what's gonna last us a lifetime. No one's gonna remember how I did at the Shanghai Grand Prix in 2026, you know, in 10, 15 years. But what I will remember is I got to do it with my best friends and teammates. I will remember that I used that as like a stepping stone to try and make the Olympic team. And that's where you have to find that joy, because otherwise you're trying to put all your self-worth into something that's naturally uncontrollable. It's better to just put your self-worth in something that's fully under your control, and that's, you know, your work, your process.
So you're a coach, but when you were not a coach and you were about this tall, you actually were looking at a coach, not your dad, and that's Andy. And when you were this tall, you used to call him Mr. Ma. Is that right?
Yes, that's true. That's true. I probably met Andy first time when I was around 7 or 8 years old.
7 or 8 years old. I think he was a right-hander at that moment. He moved on from being left-handed. Yeah, and so Andy, taking on that full view that you have of students, how has it changed since then when he called you Mr. Ma to today? How have the students changed? Those who are interested in fencing.
That's a very good question. After COVID, I know Penn, I don't know, Princeton, Stanford hired two, we call a mental health advisor, consultant, full-time. So they not only do sports psychology or to do.
And we need to remind people that you have a degree in sports psychology as well.
So, yeah. Our mental health consultant have both sports psychology, also the mental health. So now the mental health, if you look at one of our fencers, he had to work on GPA, work on have an intern, then have to, of course, have to come 5 days a week for the fencing. Someone have to travel for all the college meet. Someone, like Antonio, try to make senior team, have travel all senior workouts. Then, of course, someone have a boyfriend, girlfriend, 5, 6 since going out together. There's one boy, he got 6 this time and say, I'm not allowed to mention the name. So 2 weeks before the IV, when Ben called attack counter-attack, he looked at Ben. Then Ben, why you look at me? So are you crazy? So because both were nice boys, so I just feel they get along very well. I just feel 2 weeks both. They have a. Then I talked to our team captain, oh, he just broke up with a girlfriend down there. So that's why the mental health become more and more. Our time probably physical, here's a mental health. I don't know from the Stanford down there. So mental. Penn did the research. I'm not supposed to. So for the last year's freshman. So
Yeah, I'm not recording, it's fine, yeah.
So both kind of over 50%, not doing pretty decent. So for the new generation, I think mental health become more
And more attentive.
Yes.
Yes. Especially somebody with your expertise, since you studied that, it's something you probably are very aware of and can implement and pull from different practices to do that.
Yeah, so like Maia said, I practiced 10 years. So this, I did racing, I suppose deserve the start for me.
Yeah.
But sometimes referee could be play politics, so that's why I said I have to deal with balance chaos and balance, right? You have to deal with. That's a hard part. Someone cannot do this, so they stop to this sport. People continue to survive, keep consistency, so you become success in sports. Actually will be influence your career and your life, so that your marriage. So I think that's a very important, yes.
And a good point. Maia, how is it discussed now? I mean, being number one in the United States in anything at any point, and I'm sitting with three people that understand what it means to be like at the top of their game. What is your practice? What's your workout for mental health? I always think about mental health the same as physical health. We have to go to the gym and get healthy. What are some of the things you do for mental health?
All right. On the top of my head, meditation and journaling. So it's funny to think that your mom helps bring you the peace and things like that. My mom, I think, is more of a firecracker.
She's still here, by the way.
She's also
I won't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's amazing to drive the passion. She puts so much passion into whatever she says and does, and that helps fuel the fire of me wanting to pursue my dreams. Her little sister, actually, I meditate with her every night because my mom's family's Buddhist. My aunt actually got me these mala beads. So I meditate with her at night, and it's good emotional regulation. Things that my mom might blow up on, I'll tell her, and then hope that she doesn't tell my mom later. So just having that 30 minutes to just reflect on how the day went.
Yeah. So for you, it's 30 minutes. It's anything else that's maybe you can help us. Since I'm just very curious. It's 30 minutes long. Anything else that's interesting about your meditation?
Sometimes if it's if things get pushed out, we always try to make time for each other. So sometimes it could be a 1 a.m. call. She's in Malaysia right now, so it's an exact 12-hour difference from here. So it's her lunchtime, maybe she's out with friends, and then she'll come back, and then we'll spend 10 minutes. But she wants me to work up to an hour eventually, and I think that's very tough. I'm not saying meditate maybe she'll say meditate for an hour. But a much more achievable goal is to journal, and I think the best time to do it is right after you finish fencing.
What do you write in your journal? Don't have to tell us specifically. Are you just talking about the difficult parts? What are you most often writing about? Stuff about fencing or not about fencing?
It would be about fencing mainly. Just write how did practice go? How did your lesson go? There's so many times where people feel stuck in practice, they're plateauing. They're putting in so many hours every week, and they feel like they're not getting better or just getting worse sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have a few bad practices in a row and be like, oh shoot, what am I doing this for? But journaling and being mindful of the little details shows you that you're not actually, not every practice is actually the same.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So honestly, write whatever you want. Write whatever you want. It could be one sentence, and you could maybe delve deeper if you have the energy. yeah, why do you think it was a good or bad practice? What was technically good? What was mentally good? What's going on in your life that might be affecting the fencing? Things like that.
30 seconds each. 30 seconds each. What's your key to breaking through the plateau or dealing with feeling like you hit some ceiling? What has worked for you? What is your trick that you can describe to us in 30 seconds when we feel like we've kind of hit our limit? Andy, what do you tell your students? What do you do yourself when you feel like you've hit your limit? You've hit the ceiling.
Yes, I always tell them just
30 seconds though.
Yeah, so, one step at a time. So even today you can improve physically. If physical already hugely, maybe mentally or even just some counterattacks, just one motion, even 1% can improve. So believe it one step at a time. I see this every time for the college, also the club. Even I do the camp for the 80 years old in Beijing down there. So the parents always bring that one. Also, one of my fencers graduated from Yale. He said, I remember one thing you tell me one step at a time. So that sometimes not on purpose to tell them, but they sometimes improve their life just one step at a time.
Yeah, no, it's a really good, sort of like looking down at this floor. This floor is made of a lot of small 3-inch square pieces of wood, right? It's the same idea that you're talking about. Sometimes we're just looking at the floor, we forget that if we just focus on that one square first, we may be able to go forward.
Even baby steps.
Baby steps, right. What's your 30 seconds plateau tip?
It's a 2-part tip. First part, even the best fencers in the world can always grow. Not even number 1 in the world doesn't win every competition. So if number 1 in the world can't win every competition, that means everyone has room to grow. And so that's the first part. Second part is when people feel like they're plateauing, part of it is also they're hitting like an emotional wall where they feel burnt out or they feel like that something's not clicking. In those moments, I remind them to find their joy, refine their joy in the sport. Remember, focus on the process, focus on the why, don't focus on the results. The progress will come, results sometimes are arbitrary. You can't control those fully, but you can control your process and your progress, and if you can control those things, those are the things where you can see that general trend go upwards.
Right.
But your actual trajectory will never look linear. It will never look like this. It'll probably look like this, sometimes it'll even go down here, and as long as that general trend is up, that's what we're looking for.
And control your time. 30 seconds to you.
They said everything. No, they said a lot of good points that I wanted to bring up, but that's good because that means I have more time to talk about other things. So finding the joy in the why is a big one. When you feel stuck, when I feel stuck, sometimes I like to start doing my fun, ridiculous actions.
Oh, like what?
So I'm known for my counter parries, like the blocking the blocks, things like that, or just doing.
You'll show that to us in a second then.
Sure, yeah, of course.
This is the good segue. Okay.
Exactly, but to answer the question, it's to kind of zoom back out. I was just mentioning how to not feel like you're stuck. You should zoom in on, remember the little details, and that's why practice isn't the same. But when you're actually getting into a rut, I mean, there's always balance, right? You want to say land this certain type of touch, but you can't get it, like the timing's not right, the distance isn't right. You have to zoom back out, because once you kind of spiral, you have to remind yourself, okay, I think I'm spiraling.
Yeah.
Why? Like, let's zoom back out and look at the big picture. Like, this is still a good practice. Like, life is still good. I still enjoy fencing. And if you don't enjoy fencing or whatever activity that you're doing, then it could be good to take a break, to just revisit things, because you ultimately want to, do something because you want to.
And there's days you don't. We're going to get to your questions, by the way, shortly, and we're going to get a demonstration before that. Before we go to the demonstration, I do want to ask a question about accessibility, because this is not an inexpensive sport. How do you get more people into this? Who wants to answer that? Because it's not it's not like, you know, you can pick up a basketball and go down to the YMCA, or go down to the you know, the baseball courts or fields that are everywhere around the country. How do we fix that?
I think a few things we can do. One thing, especially in a city like New York, where this is where one of the big fencing foundations is founded and started, Peter Westbrook Foundation, and they do amazing work bringing accessibility to fencing to underprivileged kids, typically of Black and Brown communities, and trying to follow that model elsewhere in the United States. I know one of my teammates in LA, Nick Itkin, is starting his own foundation to teach classes for free, right? But a lot of it is just volunteering our time, right? Any fencer, regardless of their skill level, can volunteer their time to show the sport and to find resources, because there are resources in our community to help share the sport, both from a financial standpoint and from an experience standpoint. So it's about reaching out to those people who have that interest, who want to get back into the sport but don't really know how. And if you can activate those people, there's no reason why we can't make this sport much more accessible for people who otherwise may have a hard time being able to pick up a plate.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Chinatown, San Francisco. There were no people across in the playgrounds fencing. So it's not only, but it's just not accessible necessarily culturally as well. Even though we're talking about how many are in the sport itself, I think there's many ways to think about how to open it up to other folks. So it looks like a lot of fun. Any other ideas about how to bring in more fencers from different parts of our society?
I remember when I run the clubs, when like Star Wars, Three Musketeers, Zorro come up, we contact to the movie theater, so we got coaches, students do the demo over there.
Yeah.
So we met a lot of people, even kids, oh, I always want to try the fencing. So then when we give them 2 class free to come to club. Then first class we do the footwork. Second class we start pick up for. No, the parent tell me we want fence. We don't want to do the footwork. So we realized even first day maybe 5 minutes footwork, 5 minute blade work. Then let them play have a blade contact to the free fences. So they want the fence. They want to. They already think they're the star already. So
right there.
Just to make sure they get interest first.
Yeah.
Then come down to learn the technique. That's on my experience.
Sort of like sampling cookies at Mrs. Fields. Yeah, in a small way. Any thoughts on this, Maya?
Yeah, just emphasizing the awareness. I think lots of other folks in the community still also want to expand the sport of fencing, and in that way will make it more accessible. U.S. Fencing is doing a great job partnering with nonprofits. And
This is a great example, by the way, of increasing accessibility.
Exactly. Increasing accessibility, and then as more people want, I mean, you could kind of like soccer. You don't need the shoes to kick a ball around. You just need some sticks. So that's how you start off with, and then maybe you slowly find a club and work your way up from there. But yeah, more awareness.
All right, great. So go get your stuff. I think just the two of you have it, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and go do that. So can you describe what you've got?
Yes.
Can you describe what you've got?
So I have a foil here for those non-fencers who are with us tonight. Fencing has 3 major weapons and events. And so foil is what my dad would call the weapon of perfection, because not only do you have to touch the opponent, but we have a designated target area, which is just the torso and the back. And you have to make contact and compress the tip at the end of the foil right here to the target area. So you have to be extremely precise, because if you hit someone on the arm or the leg, it registers as an off target, which is basically no touch. So everything we do is very calculated. Everything we do has to be extremely precise.
I agree.
Is it still on?
No, it's on now.
There we go.
I agree that foil is the most technical and precise out of the 3 weapons. And because you have to poke you have to press this button. Saber doesn't have a button because you can
There's a button on the end here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. There's nothing here.
No, because any point of contact. So if I were to hit you and slash on the side, that would also work. Like the light will go off. Yes, exactly.
Does it beep?
It does
It does
beep.
beep.
It beeps and there's a light.
I have a future.
Yeah. It's too technical for me because I think I'd hit off target a little too often. I wouldn't even like get the button to press. So I don't have the patience for
So,
that.
I have to tell you, Maia and Alex and Andy, they look, I mean, from our eyes who are not, fencers or do saber, they look very similar to me. I don't know if I could pull that out. I mean, is this the key? Is
There are a few things. So you can look at the shape of the blade. The saber is much longer and skinnier, whereas the foil is kind of a cube shape. So you can see the actual
That's
shape
cube,
of the
that's
blade.
square,
Exactly. It looks very different, and it suits the weapon because you want something thin and light when you're slashing at someone because you don't need the precision to touch. Whereas we need something a little bit more robust and a little bit stiffer because if our blade is too flimsy, then it becomes very hard to control the tip.
and the handles are different.
Yes, and so in foil we use what we call a pistol grip because it gives us just a little bit more control with
Yeah.
our fingers.
Looks like that
Yeah, exactly.
versus this.
Whereas a saber, you don't need that same level of control, but they get a lot more wrist control being able to touch different lines.
This looks like the guy at the foundry got drunk. And your handle is very straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. I think for non-fencers, looking at the guards would be the easiest way to tell the differences.
Yeah.
So because it's so point focused, that's all you need to protect. But if you're slashing, I might get my fingers slashed, so I need to protect my hand. And yeah, I don't need the same precision to poke, so that's what the pistol grip's great for. But I can just I can kind of machete, and that would be that's all the grip's needed for.
Are these your actual tools of competition that you have in your hands here?
Yeah, I used this 2 weeks ago in Shanghai.
And this is yours. How long have you both had these weapons?
They break occasionally, so this one probably, they stamp them, but I probably use this one for about a year or so,
A year?
maybe half a year.
Mine lasts a while. I think I don't hit very hard, so the blade doesn't break very often. The blades can break. They're not invincible. But yeah, it takes me years to break a blade. And my bag didn't make it from Lima. I just got back this morning or this afternoon, and yeah, no, I brought this to all my World Cups since the Olympics. Yeah,
So how old is this one?
it's probably 2 years old.
2 years old? Do you have a name for it?
No, but should I name it?
Well, sure. MOCA.
MOCA.
Do you have a name for yours?
No.
Okay. MOCA 2. All right, there you go. All right, so if you don't mind putting on your mics and keep your mics, show us a little something of your craft.
Yeah, it might be a little bit hard to show considering we don't have
The
our
styles are
equipment
completely
on.
different.
But we can show you a few things.
Yeah, no contact, please. Yeah.
One thing Maia's very much known for is her use of like counter parries. So one thing she likes to do is, especially she'll make an attack on me, right? So if she tries to cut to my head,
That's okay. That's fine.
it's all good.
They bounce.
All right.
There you go. This is a picture within itself, them wearing their helmets and microphones.
So in her weapon in particular, in my weapon, the mask is not target area, so we would never aim for the mask. But in her weapon, they very much cut to the mask often. So
That's why you put on your mask very quickly.
That's why my mask is made out of metal, but his isn't until.
well, mine is made out of metal, it's just covered with paint.
So this is a tougher metal, is what you're saying. Is that right?
No, ours is insulated with paint, so it doesn't conduct.
Got
Like a circuit.
Okay.
So what she's known for is she'll try and cut to my head and maybe or body, and I'll parry it. But the second I go for something, she'll take it back and then cut me on the head like that. So those are really fun actions, especially for the viewer, because it takes a lot of, it's almost predetermined, not predetermined, but it takes a really quick reaction time, because obviously she's being caught off guard. Her first initial action did not succeed because I got it back, so I immediately had the advantage, but she's so quick with her reaction, she's usually able to get that back. So if you want to go search her up on YouTube, there's a compilation of her greatest counter parries on YouTube. But in foil, we don't really aim for the head, right? So everything we do is with fingers. So I would look for kind of taking the blade and going directly to the chest, taking the blade, maybe going to the shoulder like that. I'm not going to hit her because she's not wearing any protective gear, but that's generally what it kind of looks like for my weapon.
All right, give us a move 101 for me.
Move 101. All right, first thing, you got to come up here and do it yourself.
No, I'm not going to, okay. Sure. Coach, you also have to, okay, so am I holding it properly?
Oh, it looks great. Yep.
So first
With
you
the
got
thumb on
The
the top?
thumb, yeah. So you can-
first you got to get the footwork right. So you got to put your front foot like this.
Does it matter which foot?
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
So right foot forward, and then make it 90 degrees and shoulder width apart and bend the knees. This is what they call on guard.
On guard.
If you
On guard.
exactly. So take a step forward.
Prepare to die. My
Exactly.
name is, what's the line again? Emir Montoya.
You
Prepare to die.
You killed my father. Prepare to die. You murdered my father. Prepare to die. So take a step forward. You would.
And what is my resting? Is my resting like this?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you lower the blade too much, I can just go out and hit you directly.
Okay, so it's up.
If your blade's too high, I'll keep it low like this.
Okay.
So straight forward like that.
Okay.
Now you want to take a step forward.
This is all I got.
You can go like that.
Okay.
There we go. Take another one. Oh, exactly. Now you're moving. And then when you want to go hit your opponent, you would lunge. So that's when you explode from the back leg, reach out,
Okay.
and hopefully touch.
Just like that. Okay.
Yeah, but you gotta try to touch me too.
Okay.
Don't worry, you
Well,
won't hit me.
okay. Very well like that. I got it. All right, that's enough. That's enough for me. I want to get Coach Andy in here too. Tell us, because this is, you also do saber, right?
Yes.
This is cool. Very heavy too. So they gave us a good background. What would you add to the conversation about the difference of the two or the tip of techniques?
So we forgot AANHPI is a whole body have as a target. So no right away. So whoever hit before 1 or 20 seconds score. Right?
Got it.
So saber, AANHPI and foil is a point control. Saber is a slash, basically slash. So let's say most common, if I go for 5 mask, he will parry 5.
Yeah,
He
like
will
this.
parry 5. So big motion. If you go back 5 again, hit me 5 again. So that's motion 5 again. So that's a different motion. That's 5. Right? 5. So I go 4, he parry 4. Yeah. He come 4, 4. Yeah, that's 4. So bigger motion. 3. That's 3. All right. So that saber is a cut and slash. Foil is a more point control step. So that's a big difference.
Yeah, so you saw how when we were doing saber motions, there was these big sweeping kind of parries where you're blocking everything out. In foil, a lot of our parries are based off of circles, so it's very similar to that, but we'll parry it like this, like this, like this, using circular motions because we're trying to pick up the blade as it's being pointed towards us. So she'll go like this, and I'll go here, or forward, right? It's a lot more circular in nature, and then from there you have a lot of control to be able to either go directly or make it disengage, go around the other way, or make it just a different decision.
Everybody ready? Who wants to go next? I'm joking. So you said there was, really quickly, and then we're going to do questions. You said there was a fun thing you do sometimes when you're trying to mix it up on one of you, is it one of your parries or blocks?
Yeah.
Or both? Or whatever, I don't know what I'm saying.
So I would try to do fun parries. So
What's a fun parry, yeah?
So what you normally do to block, our target area is anything waist up. So the arms and the head is okay. So you mainly block like this, like this, like this, and maybe if someone's hitting under like this, those are the standard ones. But sometimes I like to do this. Or there's one time in competition that I got one like this.
Gotcha.
So those are like the fun,
Yeah.
different.
And it just comes naturally to you?
Yes, I drilled it with my coach, and ever since it just stuck.
Does that drive you crazy as a coach to see her do something that's not?
Once more, they just for fun, they compare like this.
Okay.
Usually for fun, but if you pull it out the right time, you'll surprise your opponent.
All right, so questions. I'll move the mic around because I know two very quickly back here. You can stand up so they can see you. Great. I'll hold it.
Hi, my name is Vivian Pan. My boyfriend just soloed opened a saber fencing club in Long Island called Titan Fencing Academy, so we opened it in November. And I was wanting to ask anyone if you could give us any words of encouragement or wisdom for us as we're like new club owners, solo, we're young, we're thirsty. Any words of advice?
Why'd you open it?
It's his dream, so I'm representing him here. He's out right now in Long Island teaching a class, so I'm his face for now.
Are you both fencers?
I am not, so everything I learned about fencing is through him.
He's a fencer.
He's a fencer.
College?
He didn't go to fencing college, so I think he started fencing when he was like 9, and then he's been a coach for the last 7 years.
Great. Thoughts quickly from the three of you? Thank you.
Where he opened the club?
Long Island.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jackson have Long Island. You have like a mission?
Yes, I actually just went back in, I think it was March or April, I can't remember, whenever they had when the blizzard came and they had
How long the club open?
We've only, this month marks our 6th
This month.
This month marks our 6th month.
How many members you have now?
We're a growing club, we currently have 25 and counting.
How big the facility?
It's about 2,500 square feet.
How many strips?
We have about 5 strips.
Okay.
That's right. So I will definitely do the advertisement.
Yeah, we currently have
I know one mother that might pull up that advertisement. By the way.
Yeah, we currently have Instagram ads going on.
So I will go to movie theater, do the demo, or you go to the elementary, middle school, talk to the parents association.
Yeah.
So they have a box, they can give the flyer to them, so
Yeah.
they're free down there. Of course, you can always do the local newspaper and coupon.
Yes.
You're down there. So I will definitely give them two class, free introduction class.
Mm-hmm.
So make
Like you were
they
saying
come
earlier,
to
you know.
try it.
Yes.
And also, you now know his name. You can
Oh,
email
it's
him.
yeah.
Yeah, also sounds similar to my dad. I remember when my dad first started the club, before he even got his own location, he was running after-school programs at all the high schools and elementary schools just to drum up interest
Yeah.
and drum up a base. And then from there, really kind of honed in on their fencers. And then I think the biggest thing is really, because it sounds very similar. My mom helped my dad open the club, and my mom had no background in fencing whatsoever. But being able to, I think, not just teach fencing, I think one thing that always made my dad's club so successful from even its inception was not about the teaching fencing aspect. It was just using fencing to teach as a vehicle to teach life skills.
Yes.
And I think that ultimately ends up being the most important skill that these fencers come away with, because not everyone's going to be Olympian, not everyone's going to be world champion, not everyone's going to be, recruited athlete, but everyone can learn from the process of fencing. And so really emphasizing that aspect of teaching, I think that's what helps my dad's club be successful, and that's where my mom really, really helped on her end, because she has had no understanding of fencing before she met my dad, but that was her avenue. She was like, well, I was a musician, and a lot of the lessons I learned and how I live my life today was through music. And so she felt actually very kind of kindred to fencing, because she felt it was so similar to the process she had when she was learning music in her master's degree and her undergraduate and all that stuff. So that's what I would recommend, and that's what I saw with my parents and how they were able to be successful when first starting out.
Yes. Teach life skills and have the passion. It seems like your partner has the drive and the passion to do that. And actually, to tie in the last question, all of my coaches have been Eastern European, which we kind of share similar values. But my very first coach was Chinese, right? Yeah, my very first coach was Chinese, and he was a math PhD. So and we trained in a garage with 3 strips. So it worked out. It worked out for fencing.
Where's that garage?
Where's that
I'm
garage?
joking. We're all
They
gonna be
actually
there.
they upsized and then they downsized, but like that separate. It started small and started humble.
That's a good point.
Sorry. San Carlos.
San Carlos.
Yes.
First place fencing. So it always was weird when I came in third or something.
The jokes ensued.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your question. I'm going to get 2 questions, and then the 3 of you can react quickly to both questions. Hello.
Hi, my name's Mimi. I'm a fencing mom. I don't know anything about fencing, but we're at Empire Fencing with Sean McLean, and I have twin girls, and I want to know first how you picked your weapon, and then second, it sounded like a lot of you did other sports. Can you still do other sports and be a competitive fencer?
Great question. Okay, I'm going to get 1 more. Don't answer yet, panel. Back over here.
So, Alexander, this is for you. Sorry. I grew up in a similar family to you that my dad was an Olympic fencer. And when he tried to teach me when I was young, the father-son dynamic just didn't work. And that wasn't his fault, I promise. How did it work with you and your dad? Was it ever very difficult for you?
All right, 2 questions.
All right, I'll start with Mimi. First of all, I know Sean very well, and he's also a Stanford Mechanical Engineering graduate, just like me. So somehow we both turned to the fencing coaches afterwards, not doing anything mechanical engineering. But first of all, I would say I didn't have a choice because my dad was a foil fencer and it was a foil club. But I will say that when it comes to picking up the sport and trying to do other sports, I was always a very active kid. So fencing, I grew up playing soccer, swimming, skiing, and playing basketball. And even all throughout high school, I was on our JV and varsity basketball teams, as well as the varsity swim team and the JV soccer team. So I found a lot of value in doing other sports because I thought it was really good cross-training, and my dad thought so as well. But there does have to be a balance because if you're really trying to succeed at fencing, there comes a point where you have to kind of prioritize one thing over another. I was very fortunate that my school was allowing me to pursue both because I didn't want to give up basketball when I was in high school. And also things have changed throughout the generations. I think in my generation, fencing was a little less competitive. So because we were so dominant, I was afforded the ability to go play basketball, right? But now there's so much of a focus on the fencing that it becomes a little bit harder. But at least at our club, we do encourage our young fencers to try out other sports and just, even pre-high school and even during high school if they're able to branch out in other sports, because we do think that cross-training helps breed a level of athleticism that transfers over to fencing. So TLDR, yes, put them in other sports.
And the second.
Oh, second with Jeff. Oh, sorry about
And
that.
go quickly, we're over time.
One thing that my parents said to me when I was growing up was that if I were to be my dad's student, I would just be any student at the club. So he's a dad at home, but a coach on the strip. And I really heeded that advice because there was, in my mind, I thought there was no other way to be successful in that way. I didn't want the fencing coaching side, him yelling on the strip, him, getting upset with me to bleed over into the family life. And so I really learned how to compartmentalize from a very young age, from 7 years old, that when we're in the fencing club or at the competition, if he's yelling at me, if he's upset with me, has nothing to do with me as his son. It only has to do with me as a student, and he yells at everyone. And at the end of the day, he is looking out for my best interests, and I knew that. So I never took it personally, even though some people would think it was harsh, but he always makes it very known to his students. He's doing this because he really has your best interests at heart. Maybe can be a little harsh sometimes, as some really great coaches can be, but at the end of the day, we know that he cares. And if anything, if he wasn't pointing out our mistakes and he wasn't correcting us, then it also shows that he doesn't really care about our growth either. So between that and the compartmentalization of coach on the strip and father at home, that's what I think helps us be really successful.
One other quick response from the panel?
How to pick. Personality is my main thing. So it's such a accessible sport body-wise because we're so strategic. So any body type can do any weapon generally. So I would say if you are detail-oriented, maybe foil would be a good one. If you are slightly impatient, or you like those big dramatic movements, maybe saber. If you don't like rules, if you don't like rules, then épée, because foil and saber have right-of-way rules. So if both people hit each other at the same time, then the referee has to determine who's attacking. But for épée, if you stab, you get it. So that's my quick rundown on what weapon you should choose. But it's fun when you're so little, like 7. It's kind of like, you know, picking your first Pokemon or something like that. You know, you don't really know, but you can always choose later once you know you have a feel for it.
Right.
And in terms of cross training or doing other sports, I am a huge fan of doing lots of different things. I did water polo. I did varsity track in high school. I think fencing is such a one-sided, asymmetrical, wacky sport that if you don't introduce other movements, then you're bound to get injured. So being able to have that body autonomy to do other movements will help actually give you a longer career in the long run.
Okay, last round of questions. You have a question? No question? Okay. You got a question?
There's one right, there's also one.
And where?
Right there in the white shirt.
Okay, I'll get you.
Hi, I'm Willow. I'm an NYC fencer.
Way to go.
I think one of my teammates, Mia's right there. We fenced together at Lab Middle School. I was wondering, like when I'm at competition, sometimes like when I have a really good bout, I'm kind of analyzing like while I'm in the bout, thinking, oh, like that movement was really good, or like afterwards I think about, oh, this movement was good, but then I kind of messed up here. Like I was wondering, how exactly do you reflect on what you do, like your movements, and also it feels like a meditation within itself. I know you, Maia, you were talking about meditation, and I meditate too, so I was wondering, how do those two kind of go together? Because it feels like a meditation within itself, like when you're in a bout, because you can only really think about that one thing, and then also meditating has to help you with fencing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lock that question. We have one more here, and you can answer both.
Well, hi, I'm Matthew. I'm a fencer on the Columbia University D1 team. Something that was mentioned earlier that I think is very pertinent to our time, especially like with legends as you guys on the panel here, is that like a couple decades ago, I think Maia, you mentioned this, there weren't a lot of people like us that you could look to see as role models. But now we have that. We have many of those, of course, you three being among them. So obviously, as role models for all of us and more in our sport, a nice thing that they can look to, the obvious thing is, oh, people like us do this, we could do this too. But past that and beyond that, I'm wondering, who do you want to be as role models? What virtues do you want to impart to these kids who are looking at you growing up, not just you as fencers, but like you as people too? If that question makes sense.
I want you to rephrase it. I'm joking. No, we got it now. So first, the question to you, Maia, and then you can answer his question, all three of you, quickly.
Ooh, okay. Well, what weapon do you fence? Oh, sorry. Okay, it's good to know. It's good to know.
I fence foil.
Foil? Okay. Because the way you phrased that question made it seem like it wasn't saber, because we don't really have the time to think in between, or not in between, during the touch. It's so fast paced, like a point happens in a few seconds max. So the only time I have to actually reflect or regroup is in between the touches, like after the point's over and then I'm walking to the on-guard line for the ref to say ready, fence again. And in that time, I think breath work and meditation goes hand in hand on when to like actually use mindfulness. So I notice when I take long breaths, or this people have done scientific studies on it too, long breaths helps lower the heart rate, right? So if you're freaking out, take long breaths in between points. If
you feel too passive, because sometimes when I meditate right before competing, I'm like, it's okay if I don't win. I'm here for the journey in the moment, and then I get hit. So like, that's not the best thing.
Over meditation.
Over meditation, so quick breaths, sharp breaths. Wim Hof breathe, is that Wim Hof breathing? You know, like the double inhale, exhale, you know, that really gets you lasered in and focused. So I find that very helpful for me. Yes.
Role model question, right?
Yes.
We'll start down this
Yeah,
way. Come down. 30 seconds each, please.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tag on to her because she's a flow fencer real quick. I like to look at it as like a logic game. So if my hand is a certain position, I'm in 6. What am I opening up? Well, then if I'm opening up this target, what's the logical thing for my opponent to want to do? They want to go here. Then I know what the answer is to that. And so I would just kind of dissect what actually happened, what the distance looks like, and where their hand was, because every part of that is a tell, and there's a logic game. There's always a logical conclusion as to what your opponent wants to do, given what you see from the distance and the timing and where their hand placement is. So that's that. As far as role model is concerned, I think one thing that I try and think about when I think about representing, fencing, is I want to leave the sport in a better place than where it was when I first started. And that means being a good role model myself and projecting values of good teamwork, camaraderie, hard work, dedication, and also like a accessibility to the sport that wasn't there when I was around, right? One thing that I try and pride myself in is being able to interact with kids no matter the venue or situation, because when I was growing up, it was much harder to access Olympians and access these high-level elite fencers. I was very fortunate, my dad was a 3-time Olympian, but otherwise I wouldn't really have the access to these elite fencers, right? So you see me at Summer National or autograph opportunity or question, and I think is the most important, is the accessibility of us to teach our lessons, to project these values that fencing has taught us in the best way possible.
There you go. Everybody's going to be lining up for you. 30 seconds on role model.
Sure, if I, for the role model, okay, one of my co-worker, he's the first person in charge of fundraising department. He just finished his PhD dissertation. I said, what's the dissertation? He said, the relationship coaches with the student athlete. Well, tell me what's top 3. First one is caring. So as a role model or coach, you care, because the attitude. So is you talk a lot doesn't mean you care. So caring. Number 2 is a connection. Number 3 is a professionalism. So professionalism is number 3. So caring, connection, then professionalism. That's take care. I give one question. If I were you for the foil fencer, if I were you, I will ask my mom or my dad video my bout. Then give the coaches to the video analysis, because I, as a coach, if I look at video, you need a strength conditioning, you need a technique, or you need a logical down there. So everyone depends on your decent fencer, good fencer, you met different levels, so we find out where you need to work on for the next level. So that's from my end.
Thank you all for your questions. My last question, and I mean it, you can only answer in 5 words or less. 5 words or less. And this is, we're at the Museum of Chinese in America. We're at MOCA. If you had to leave something as an artifact on one of these esteemed walls here at MOCA, what would you leave? What would you leave if they said, yes, we would like to put something right over there? What would you do and what would you put?
Photo of me and my mom.
And
photo of me and mom.
I lose. I can't do that. Probably, maybe my fencing bag. I have both Chan and Chamberlain on it, so it will help represent my heritage.
how about you?
That would be blessing if can put me and my wife's picture here, because my wife's an opera singer that really represent pick opera singer first class. So that would be recommended.
Well, you've definitely already left 3 things for us, and that is your great stories and your inspiration. So it is already on the walls here at MOCA. We can't thank all of you enough. By the way, if you haven't been through the museum, when it's open, please do come through. If you've already been through it 5 times, then you should make it to 6 times. And thank you for our great panelists for being here today.
Thank you.
A big round of applause for them.